number 1, your sticks don't matter. Not even a little bit. If you're just learning drums, you don't know enough about sticks to have a preference. So don't worry about it. Take that out of the equation entirely. It's fun to learn about. There's all sorts of different types of sticks. There's all sorts of different tips, weights, lengths, all sorts of cool stuff that they can do to sticks that you'll learn about. But right now, don't worry about it. Get a pair of sticks that aren't broken and that are the same stick, and you will be great. The only thing that I would say about figuring out what kind of stick you should use is, if you want to play drum set, get a drum set stick. If you want to play in the marching world, get a marching stick. Because the drum set sticks are way lighter and they won't feel the same. If you're going out for high school marching band, if you're going out for college, if you're going out for DCI, get yourself a pair of actual marching sticks. It doesn't matter which kind you get. If you're playing bass drum, make sure you get a bass drum stick. If you want to play snare drum, get a snare drum stick. And if you want to play quads or tenors, you can play a snare drum stick. That's totally fine. So don't worry about what sticks to use. It's fun to learn about, but whatever sticks you have, as long as they're not broken, they're good enough for now. All right, tip number 2. If you are not practicing with a goal in mind, then you're just playing. And that's totally cool, but practicing and playing are 2 totally different things. If you're practicing, I want to get my paradiddles up to 150 beats per minute, so I'm going to have my metronome ready, I'm going to set a tempo that I'm starting it, I have an exercise that I'm working on, and I'm going to get my paradiddles to 150, right? That's a goal. Otherwise, you might just play. I've played a ton, I've spent a ton of time, I'm kind of playing some exercises, I'm working on some rolls, I'm working on some legatos, I'm working on all sorts of different exercises. You will get better, there's no doubt. If you have sticks in your hand and you are actively playing and paying attention to what you're doing, you'll get better. But you're not practicing. There's a huge difference between practicing and playing, and it's goal-oriented. If you don't have a goal, if I gotta get this to this level, I gotta get this skill better, I gotta get this skill faster, I gotta figure out how to not break when I'm playing this part, then you're just playing. And that's cool, but just know you're not practicing. So don't expect yourself, how come I can't play paradiddles at 200 beats per minute? Well, have you ever tried to play paradiddles at 200 beats per minute? And if you haven't, then that's why you can't do it. It's not because you're not playing enough. It's because you're not focused, practicing enough. So set a goal whenever you're practicing, know what you want to practice, and then you'll get way better. Tip number 3, don't practice until you get something right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. Usually that shows up when you're learning music. There'll be some kind of transition. Doesn't matter what kind of music you're playing. There's always some part that gives you trouble or that you need to work on. Make sure you practice just that part, just that transition. And again, like tip 2, focused practice. I'm working on this transition and I'm going to play it 1,000 times until I can only do it right. One of my biggest mistakes when I was first learning drums is I would play through a part and I'd get it. All right, I got it. And then I would move on as if I had mastered it. But I didn't master it, I just didn't get it wrong one time. I wouldn't even say I got it right, I just didn't break, I just didn't make an error. There's a huge difference in confidence, in playing ability, in your ability to listen to what you're playing, to be able to focus on smaller details. That comes with playing something so many times that you can't get it wrong. That's where true confidence comes in, and that's where you're going to have fun. It's not fun faking it till you make it. Like, I might make a mistake on this part. If you feel like you're going to make a mistake on a part, number 1, you probably will. And number 2, you're not going to have fun. This is not a fun activity when you're worried about making a mistake. This is fun when you're confident and you know you're going to do something right, and then you can perform. So again, focus on playing something till you can't get it wrong. Number 4, rudiments equals freedom. If you want to be able to play anything on this instrument, whether it's marching world, drum set world, learn and master every rudiment, because that is your tools. Those are, I know how to do this because I can play flams really well, or I can play flam drags, or I can play paradiddle diddles. Have you ever seen somebody riff on guitar and just be able to noodle and play around? Don't you want to be able to do that on this instrument? Have you ever seen someone on drum set just moving around the drums effortlessly, kind of doing a solo, just messing around? They can keep playing forever because they have all sorts of tools. They've learned all these different rudiments. They've learned patterns around the drums. Same thing in the marching world. You learn all these different rudiments. Play it off the left, play it off the right, flams, flam drags, all sorts of cool rudiments that you're not even necessarily thinking about once you know them. They're just different sounds. Oh, what if I played this rhythm with this accent? Or what if I played this rhythm a little bit faster? Or if I put it in triplets, or I put it in a fivelet? You can start to get creative with the instrument once you understand the rules, once you have all the tools in your tool belt. But until you know all the things that you can do on the instrument, you're just going to want to follow other music. You're not going to be thinking creatively. So if you want to get creative and have flow around the drums and be able to play things off the top of your head and just kind of play the instrument, you need to learn every single rudiment and then get comfortable with them and just sort of start playing them. And it won't sound great immediately, but you'll actually begin to develop that freedom around the instrument so that you can watch somebody and you know what they just played. It's very cool. Once you get to this point, you can listen to something and go, oh, I bet I know what they just did. Even if it was just a track you're listening to, you can tell. You start to notice patterns of things that sound good together and all sorts of really great things. So, I could ramble on this for hours, but I won't. Learn every single rudiment and then enjoy the freedom. Number 5, master consistent and perfect technique. Whatever your technique is, make sure you master how you're going to play the instrument. And that doesn't have to look like anybody else. There's all sorts of different drumming styles. There's all sorts of different techniques that are good for different reasons, and people like them for all sorts of different reasons. If you're a student, play the technique your teacher is teaching you. If you're just a person learning drums, find one that you think looks good and then go for that. But you have to perfect it. And why? Why do you need to have perfect technique? Because technique is efficiency. If I want to play something on the drums, but I don't move the stick up and down properly, right? Sometimes I have an oval pattern, sometimes I'm coming over here with the stick, sometimes I'm coming over here with the stick. Number 1, it's not going to look good. I'm not going to feel in control. Number 2. Number 3, it's not going to sound consistent. You are going to sound different because you don't quite have the technique mastered. So you don't know how to play single strokes in the exact same way every single time. That just creates variables. That gives you an opportunity to make a mistake. That might make you late to a rhythm. You might be late to a downbeat because, I missed it, or whatever, because your technique changed. Okay? So it's super important to master your technique and make it as consistent as possible. Variables are what create errors and mistakes. And if you don't have the perfect technique, then you're never going to be consistent. Okay? So don't take shortcuts. Don't play faster than you can play yet. Push yourself, but know the difference. If you're getting to 180 beats per minute, you got fingers falling off the stick, all kinds of problems in your technique. This feels wrong. It doesn't feel good. Stop. Make an adjustment, slow down, and master your technique. Alright, we're going to stop at the first 5 for this video. I'll bring the next 5 in the next video. Hopefully these are helpful. Hopefully these will save you some time. Apply these ideas, and hopefully you can skip some of the mistakes that I did and get even better, even faster. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.